Hey everyone, thanks for checking into Stock Investing and Trading 101. Today we are going to be continuing with the Think or Swim series. Today we're going to be covering Level 2 data as well as time and sales data. These are tools that certain platforms have that allow you to see the amount of bid and ask orders that are set and how many are currently out there. This is an example of a live level 2 data chart on the bottom here in this light blue. Both of these boxes are what level 2 data looks like, and this is once again live data during market hours. This is constantly moving and updating. What this represents is there's two sides. There's the left side, which is the first three boxes. This is the bid, and over here we have the ask on the right. What this is the first section here is what exchange these orders are coming from. There's the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, and many different exchanges that these are coming from. Then we have the price. This is the bid price. This is what people are trying to buy this security for. We have 1025 to 1026. And last we have this is the quantity of shares that are looking to be purchased. This is multiplied by 100. So third, we have the quantity. So we have the exchange, the price, and the amount of shares. Moving on to the ask, it's the same. You have the exchange here. You then have the asking price. This is what people are looking to sell the security for. And this is the amount of shares that are looking to get sold at this specific price. This can be highly manipulated as these aren't completed orders. These are simply orders that are set but not filled necessarily. So someone could easily put in a huge order, take it off, cancel the order, and manipulate the data that way, as well as many programs such as high frequency trading programs and electronic computer networks can manipulate this data through very fast algorithms and formulas that can change these numbers very quickly. So mind you, this data can be extremely manipulated and shouldn't be used by itself by any means. This is just one more tool that can be useful for many people. This is extremely useful, especially on momentum stocks and looking at momentum stocks and trading. A stock like Ford, which doesn't have too much volatility in it, it's still very helpful, but as you see, there's only a 1 cent price spread, and it's just kind of a boring stock. If you look at something, I'm trying to think of a good example. Wonder how ACB looks like, or Amazon. They should have a bigger spread. So yeah, here you see there's a spread on Amazon of, this one is 1972. It's about a 75-cent spread or so. This is selling at 1973. This is the mid 1972s. But for lesson purposes, we're going to keep it an easy stock, nice, smooth, easy numbers. So moving on, it was introduced in 1983 as the NASDAQ Quotation Dissemination Service, which stands for the NQDS. It provides real-time access to the NASDAQ order book intended to display market depth and momentum to traders and investors. Once again, this is not necessarily an actual reflection of recorded trades. This is just a display of actual price and liquidity. It can be manipulated, and often is, by high-frequency trading programs. It assesses liquidity volumes, gauges interest in the price range, and can look for institutional buyers. This is a big point. So if you see a big purchase coming for a certain security, especially maybe a penny stock or some other security like that, and you see a big institutional order, It may be them trying to make an acquisition or a big purchase and do it without telling too many people. Obviously, they're not releasing it to the press, and the only way people are going to see it is from level 2 data. So if you're not looking at level 2 data, you may miss on a huge buyout or some type of huge opportunity that comes from finding that institutional trade. But that could also be manipulated, and it could be trying to fake you out. And market makers and institutions can do that, and they do that. So keep that in mind. One more thing, you can look for order size irregularities, and you can tell what institutional traders are trying to keep buying quiet. So once again, pretty much the same thing I was saying. They may be trying to make a huge purchase, and only a few people that happen to be looking at the level 2 data for that security notice, and it could give you an edge as to maybe there's something going on with that security that they're trying to keep quiet about that would make the price go up. So moving on, by looking for trades that take place between the bid and the ask, you can tell when a strong trend is coming to an end. So this can help you see if a strong trend is coming to the end. If a price is at a peak, there's probably not going to be all too much buying, and it can be used for that way. I use level 2 data sometimes, but it isn't a big part of my technical analysis. But I know some people who traded primarily in penny stocks or momentum stocks, and they were extremely good at using the level 2 data to determine breakouts and resistance levels as well as support. And many people are very good at using this data and using it to their advantage in trading. One other way that institutions may try to manipulate this data is instead of posting 500,000 shares for sale, at the resistance, which is the ask price. So let's say they wanted to sell 500,000 shares at 1027. People aren't going to try as hard to break that resistance because there's so many shares, 500,000 shares, it's going to be a tough resistance to break. So how people can manipulate it if they're trying to sell 500,000 shares, they could set 100,000 shares, and people might think that, okay, that we can break through that, that's only 100,000 shares. And as soon as they break through that, or as soon as they're buying the shares, they just put another 100,000 up, and again and again. So instead of you thinking it's only 100,000, we can break through that, instead they just keep putting more shares on the market in low quantity, so you can't tell it's a huge institutional trade, and that's another thing that you can look out for. ECNs can also hide their order, so it can be difficult to tell if the order is from a retail or institutional trader. So that can be hidden, but also on the same tip, some institutions and most institutions that aren't using ECNs to hide their order use different exchanges than most retail traders. So I'm not exactly sure which one of these may be institutional exchanges, but they tend to have different exchanges for institutional traders. Moving on, we're going to go into the time and sales. This is another tool that can and should be used with level 2 data. As you see, I just opened time and sales right here. And what this is it shows the volume, price, direction, and the date and time for each trade. And it is a real-time data feed. So this data over here is real-time data. As you see, the price is coming in the exact second, and you have the price right here, so 1026 to 1027, and you have the quantity or the amount of shares over here. Now this can be extremely useful as well. As you can see, there is sometimes huge orders that can help you, or you see the momentum of the stock this way somewhat. And one thing that can confuse new traders is this is the time and sales, and it shows the exact either buy or sell of a security, but you only see one part. So if this was a 1027 purchase of 100 shares, where's the sell to that, right? There's always one buyer and one seller. So what this data shows is it shows the part of the transaction that causes, so if this number, the price, causes the security to go up in price, it will show up as this green 27. And if it would cause the security to go down in price, that's when it comes in red here. As you can see, these are red orders, meaning they are selling for, below. They're causing the security price to go down, and so that's how it shows which price is. It's determined based on how it affects the security's price at the current moment compared to the market price. So it is a detailed account of trading activity. Once again, this is just showing how it affects to the current market price. So many people use the level 2 data in conjunction with the time and sales. Once again, this data down here can be extremely manipulated. So if you're going to use it with actual time and sales, you can determine, which ones of these orders are, first of all, real and not getting canceled, because once again, any of these numbers can be canceled. And also on top of that, you can see, quantity of shares. You see 2,000 shares were purchased right here, and a lot of times you'll sometimes see, huge 10,000 shares or so, and when you're dealing with that many shares, you can often spot, either a huge investor or buyer of the company, or a lot of times it may be institutional buying, and it may be a good sign for you to either join in with them, or it's always up to you to assess on your own. I would never enter any position just because you see a big time and sales number. That doesn't mean anything. It could be someone with a lot of money trying to hedge another position, or it could mean many, many things. So don't ever enter a position just because you see a lot of other people entering that position. It may be a good sign that there's a bullish momentum, but once again, that's up for you to determine with your own technical analysis and by looking at the charts. So that's pretty much the video. These are two tools that many traders use. Many brokers have them. I believe Robinhood is looking to add this, but I don't know if they'll have the time and sales. So that's why I prefer Thinkorswim. This is a free program. I will be doing more detailed Thinkorswim tutorials as the time goes on. So this is the fourth one in the series. Feel free to check out my other tutorials, and hopefully you guys are getting some valuable information from this. Please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for more videos.